coming to the luncheon this afternoon. It's meant to be informal. We wanted you to hear from a very powerful speaker all the way from Chicago that's joining us here today by the name of Tyrone Minor, who you'll hear from shortly. The whole purpose of, to get us all together, the RBCA, as you know, has been very, very instrumental and impactful in making change in the Black community and improving the economics and providing employment opportunities and job skills training and housing solutions. And we could not do that without all of our partners, who are not all here today. But I do want to thank Doug Denton and Christine and Mr. Berry, Homeward Bound, Jonathan Bazan with the county. Dallas County is a big supporter. Joe Powell with APA, yes. Thank you so much for coming. Mr. Bussey with ARMS Ministry. Our amazing staff and team, the workforce development team, Anthony Virgil, Deborah Adams, Pam Davis. We couldn't do it without you. Everyone at the office, Renee, Shalicia, Deanna, Amanda, Coverall, thank you so much for being here. And absolutely our amazing board members on the CDC board and all of our support that we have there. So I just want to, and the parent board as well. So thank you for being here to all of our board members and everyone's support. I'd like to open it up with prayer, a prayer by Mr. Carl Berry, who will join us, and then I'll come back up, show you a short video, and introduce our illustrious chairman, and then we will hear from our keynote speaker. So, so at this time, Mr. Berry, if you would come up and open us up with prayer, please.
Shall we participate in the joy of prayer? Our Creator, Father, Author, Comforter, Guider, and Director, we just first of all offer our praise, our thanks. Lord, you have given so much to each of us, collectively and individually. And we want you to know we thank you. We want to know that we appreciate you. And we don't want to forget about you, Father, as the power and the authority in our lives. We want to thank you for the RBCA and all of the work that they do and all of the people that they help. And we thank you, Father, for the opportunity, each of us, to help in our own ways. We know that you're here. We welcome your presence. We ask you to bless, endorse, support all today's activities. And we want to thank you above all. Everybody, please just say amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Is it still on? Okay. So I want to be careful because he thinks I always want something when I talk nice about him. But I really can't say enough about our chairman, John Proctor, and the vision that he has set forth for this organization. When I started with him 6 years ago, I had no idea. I had no idea what I signed up for. He didn't either. But over those years, and many of you who know him will say the same thing. He has a heart of gold. He is extremely passionate about his community, about helping people help themselves. And he's really, really, really serious about results and sustainable results. And since I've been with him on this journey, I mean, the things that have been accomplished is nothing short of amazing. We have seen all the way from businesses, black businesses who weren't getting work, who weren't growing. We've seen them increase their bonding capacity to $25, $50 million. We've seen people who have come out of the prison system that had all kinds of barriers and couldn't get a job. We see him create programs that create employment and sustainable wages, and they're able to get their families back and just really reintegrate into the community. And that's what we're about. The RBCA, it's the vessel that is supporting and propelling that black community forward, creating those sustainable solutions and creating economic growth, and addressing all of the things that might plague the community. And again, just really implementing some sustainable solutions. And so, again, we could not do this, or we would not be here without our visionary, all of his connections and all of his resources. We're just very thankful for him. And I'd like to turn your attention, we'll watch a short video. His company, Coverall Management, who is really just a beacon for hope for a lot of individuals. They hire, more ex-offenders than I can count, providing them opportunities, again, to just reintegrate and get back with their families, and providing them with awesome benefits and livable wages, and teaching them skills. And so I want to share with you a short video, and then we'll bring up Mr. John Proctor.
John Proctor, I'm chairman of RBCA, president of Coverall is one company, JPC is another company that I'm on. The assignment that I have, which started 46 years ago in San Diego, California, is to promote black contractors, and that these black contractors hire black people.
That's my deal. Black people that with a second chance, and I'm real clear about it. I don't miscommunicate. I ask for what I want, and that's what I get. And I learned this: God, kids don't have it. They have not asked God for it. That's what I believe. So I asked God for this, and this is my 45th year doing this. I've been doing this. I started this in San Diego, California.
I would get out and do the work, and what the reciprocity was is to hire black people. That has been quite successful for 46 years, and we're doing it today. I'd like to highlight some of the things that we're doing. That one of the companies, which is Coverall, which is a demolition and abatement and a construction site cleanup job. Some of our clients, Union Railroad, Prime Rail, Texas Central Rail, just to name a few. What those jobs does is give us the opportunity as a contractor. And what we give the community is employment. So that is what we do. We run this thing from Houston to Dallas to Fort Worth. And what we done seen, we done saw that these black people are able to escalate up the ladder. We got people that start off as laborers on construction sites. Now they're managers. Also, we train folks to be construction managers. Send them to school. Dallas College and RBC have a deal to train these folks. And what we do, get basic training and OSHA training.
Working for Coverall has been a very exciting and an eventful experience. I've done quite a few things here, and it's been great for me. I started working here back in 2011 with Coverall, and we was dealing with the weatherization program. So I was out working into the communities, dealing with the people, young and old. We were trying to get the homes weatherized. so they could be comfortable because of the cold. So we went in and we rather stripped the doors, the windows, the pipes, things of that nature there to make them comfort and to bring them some solace dealing with the harsh weather that was going on. From that point there, I started dealing with more jobs, dealing with coverall and working with the RBCA, which has been a very great experience because I started going into different levels. Before long, I would find myself working in leadership roles, and finding myself being assistant supervisor, and then I started going into roles as a supervisor. Now I'm out into management. There's so many different areas that here, working with coverall and with the RBCA, you can elevate yourself. It's just, what do you want? You know, the greatest thing that I've learned since reintegrating myself back into society is that opportunity is very, very precious, and it's what we do with it. I took advantage of that opportunity, and I appreciate Mr. John Proctor for the greatness that he's bestowed upon me. You know, he's helped me to strengthen myself in so many different levels, and I just want to, you know, show my appreciation by being a hardworking and dedicated employee. When looking for a second chance, I would recommend to anyone to come to the RBCA here in the South Dallas area. It's what I did, and it greatly changed my life. I believe that it could be like the first step to actually a better future.
RBCA's Second Chance Construction Training Program is designed to provide education and job skills training for individuals who are looking for a new career. The program affords individuals the opportunity to gain employment, and Coverall is a prime example of employers who hire from the Second Chance program. The employees working on the Beckley Courthouse demolition project were all from the RBCA Second Chance program. We are so excited and so thrilled when we see program graduates attain a job and actually use their skill set that they've learned. When you give someone a job, you really boost their self-esteem. It lets them know that the possibilities are endless.
This is a very important day, and this is a thank you day. How much I appreciate the folks, hi Joyce, that was here at the beginning when they didn't get paid, but they got paid through Coverall. Amanda Vanilla, stand up. Amanda's very shy. Jeanette Franklin. Laura's here. Laura, stand on up. Shy. Is Bo here? Bo, he made it. Is Bo here? All right. That's my oldest son. These are the people that when we started the RB said, oh, Monica Bailey. Done it. I know. See, she don't mind. But anyhow, never mind. That's why she with me. We started this thing, and there was no money. So we said we're gonna do it anyway. When we took over from Richard Knight, we said we're gonna do it anyway. And so what we'll do, we'll just finance it. So we decided to finance it. And it was complicated. Yes, that's the word. But it was doable. And anything is doable, that means God is in it. So then all you have to do is get up every day, can't see it, but do it anyway. So that's what we was doing. And we parlayed this thing into where we are today. So this thing here today came out, what are we doing? This is to say thank you. My mama said, if you, that's right. If you forget how you got what you got, it's all over. You start counting 10, 9, 8, it's all over. So I have to say thank you. And we wouldn't even be nowhere near where we are. Jonathan Bazan, he don't like none of this. John Wiley Price don't like none of this. But we wouldn't even be. Because we had those folk that believed in us when we had no help. Nobody was into the solution that we're talking about. Our solution is what you get through this system and you don't go back no more. That communication to who these people are that provide these services, telling us that that's not a good idea. How do they tell me that? Because I see all this recidivism. I see all this going around, going back. No, that ain't where we coming from. We are talking about once you go through and you say, I don't want to do it no more, and I'm willing to ask for help not to do it no more, we ready for you. How do you know what God's assignment for you is? It's simple. God had said, I made it so simple, well, food can understand it, included me. Including me. Hey, y'all don't want me to talk about any, but I won't go there. But let me tell you, these people only need a second chance and some support. We can't just forget about them. We have to support. We have to get ready. Not when, not if. I'm talking about when. That's what Doug Denton, Joe, Buzz. This is what this is about. Not if, when. That means we have to have these folks some cushion to stand back up. God promised us 7 times. We can stand up 7 times. So we got that promise from God Almighty. All we have to do is do something. I don't have to figure out what. I just do what I'm told to do. That's the assignment. How do you know what the assignment? What did God do for you? Simple. What God did for you. This is it. This is simple. This is real simple. All we need is an individual like Loris. I don't want to do it no more. And I'm ready to do what it takes not to do it no more. What that no more is, I don't have to know. Ain't my business. Right. That ain't my business. Only thing I get is the sincerity and the honesty. Because one thing we do know, if we ain't honest, it's all over. Because you can't accept you or who you are. That's the first rule. Who am I? With all my character defects, all of my, everybody around me know about them. I ain't trying to hide them. I ain't trying to hide nothing. So what my Angelo said, go tell that. Hey, I don't care about you telling. But I don't want, this ain't about me. I brought a man here that's clear. Because I get help. God sent me help. So I need a whole bunch of help. And that was hard for me to do, is to ask for help. Because I thought I could do it all. I thought I knew it all. So I was locked right then. Because I couldn't accept help. I said, my papa said, man, stand up by his own bootstrap and all that bullshit. My papa told me that. See, but one thing about it, I had to get old enough to deny my papa. I need help. And I asked for help. So on that, I'm going to ask Mr. Tyrone Minor where God have sent me. See, God send you people. He's sending people. You just have to say, help me. You have to be honest and say, I don't know what in the hell I'm doing. I'm just doing what I'm told to do, and that's the assignment. I just got a simple assignment, and it is help the people that need help, that don't have hope. How can I just communicate some hope? And that's why we say, if to deal with us, we got some prerequisites. You got training, you got work, and those are some prerequisites that tell us that you're ready. I ain't playing games. We ain't playing games at the RBCA, because y'all know we didn't get paid. Monica, you know nobody got paid. If somebody was looking for a check around here, we didn't have it for you. You know what I'm saying? So we was hustling. Thank God for the clip for the hustle that I learned. Because I learned how to hustle back yonder, so I got opportunity to use it. So I hustled. But thank God for Jonathan for coming, and our commission was supposed to be. He ran into something, because we know where our help cometh. And we know who God has sent us to help us. So we just can't deny it. We can't walk around here and act like we did it ourselves. We can't walk around here and act like me, I. I'm going to tell you, me, I is 10, 9, 8, 7 on that. That's what that is. Ain't no me, I. It is us. We producing the lorries of the world. It's a lot of them. 97% of the people work for me is ex-offenders. Been with me for 20-some years. I'm not saying y'all go do it. No, I'm going to do it. I do this. My thing is that, who are you really, John? You who you telling me people you are? Can you get the arithmetic test? Because I'm like Ronald Reagan. I'm going to verify. I'm going to verify. Sooner or later, I'm going to do the arithmetic. And the arithmetic got to come out with who you say you is. That better be who you is. Tyrone?
John said some things that really make a lot of sense to me. First of all, I've been retired. This is my 10th year retirement. And John, no 3 words turned me off, his work, wife, and baby, but he put me to work. I already got wife number 5, so I got 2 of them out the way. So now I hope that I don't get no babies from nowhere. So I finished a career of 42 years, 3 months, and 18 days on one job. I worked for the BNSF Railroad. I was a chief student business agent for 21 of those years. So organizational structures is something I'm very good with, because I'm a union politician. And so I learned some things in that time that brought me to be able to do what I do in inspiration. My focus was philosophy and psychology and unionism, which is about getting large groups of people to move toward a single direction. In other words, I'm a master of the shady answer. So, in starting out, if service is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. If service is beneath you, this is a service organization. Providing services can be very challenging, because what happens a lot of times, we get connected to the problem. That's not service. And in order to be effective in leadership, you're going to have to be effective in service. If service is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. And sitting in this room now, those who've been in for a long time, John wants to retire and do what I do, which is much or nothing as he can. I make up my day as I go. I wake up sometimes, I don't feel like doing nothing. I just don't do nothing. That's what I do. They say, what you doing? Nothing. Well, when you going to be done? I don't know. That's the privilege of retirement. But he said something that was very essential early on. Are you who you say you are? And when I entered into this agreement with John, I said, it's going to take me 3 or 4 sessions to get the information embedded into the organization, something that'll help them flourish and grow as individual and as a corporation. Are you who you say you are? It's very important, because since we've all had so many experiences in our lives that have left us with some kind of trauma, and the human experience itself is traumatic. The human experience itself is traumatic. From the first time you fell off your bike. Remember your first bike fall? That was trauma. And I will never ride that bike no more. Or the first heartbreak you had. That was trauma. Mine was Charlene Hunter. I had been getting on my candy through grade school, and then she went out with the light-skinned guy with the curly hair. It was trauma. That was traumatic. So trauma is something that we address throughout our lives. And in the business that you all are in, you're dealing with a lot of trauma. As a community, as an ethnic community, we are totally traumatized. And I ain't gonna get my kufi out and put none of that stuff on, because during the revolution, I was a fake Panther. I couldn't grow a fro, so I'd take that Murray's and push my hair up and make me a little mini fro about this big. But are you who you say you are? And that takes determination, time, and courage to embrace if you're not who you say you are, and see who's the trauma has made you become. So we've got some trauma, Carl. Trauma is real. And it doesn't go away. It gets addressed and lived with. You don't have to live in it, but you have to live with it. There are 2 words that use the same letters of the alphabet that make a difference in your life, in your answers to the question, and in your response as individuals or the company. Silent and listen. Now you would think these aren't $5 4-syllable words. They actually have 6 letters each. Silent and listen. Why would all these educated people here, I know all y'all got y'all degrees and all that stuff, I'm probably the least educated person in the room. I went to the Labor Studies program in 1973, come out graduate in 76, and I just learned these 2 words. That's been my success. To silence the incessant chatter that's going on up here in this no man's land that has the ability to make sense out of nonsense. But in the field that you all are in, mastering these 2 words are going to make the difference in your success and in your individual lives. Because this is a room full of leaders, and someone is going to replace John at some point, because he can live forever. Wish he would, wish I would, but it's not going to happen. But effective leadership is about knowing where the next leader is coming from those who serve. The best servants are the best leaders. I stood on the picket lines. I've been in the rank and file a long time. I done carried the picket signs. I done knots aside my head. They done went down now. That's when understanding came. That listening to what's not being said is the key. You got that, Drew? Listening to what's not being said is the key to being able to understand what's next. But you first have to silence the incessant chatter of already finishing the sentence before the other person says what they're going to say. How do I know? Because I've been a chief steward in business aids for 21 years. I represent cases. I had to listen to people tell me what their plight was and find a way out. Even if it wasn't the right way, it was the way out. What makes us as humans prone to deviating from the most valuable skills of communication? Silent and listen. The most valuable skills of communication are silent and listen. And the organization has to silence the chatter inside to listen to what the service that they're going to be able to provide at the next level is going to be. But that means that inside the organization, the chatter should stop so that the organization can be silent enough to listen to what it's going to deliver to provide the services that's necessary. Because I know you got visions and values, you've got some goals that you set, that you place, things you want to do and things you want to achieve. But how do we get to that? One of the biggest stumbling blocks, it said, is emotional reasoning. Now, of course, I'm in the psych. Emotional reasoning. And you can Google any of the stuff I tell you. You can Google it. I don't be making this stuff up. I'm basing it on facts. Human beings, we're prone to emotional reasoning. And in a service organization, if you allow emotional reasoning to get into play within the organization, it will deviate you away from your primary purpose, which is to provide services to a group of people who people have discarded. I have a couple other titles that they use for me. I'm called a rag picker. I find value in things that are discarded by other people. And the group that you all are servicing is the group that's been discarded by society. And in order to find value in them, you'll have to already have found the value within yourself that you can then provide and show other people where it's at within them. Everyone is precious to the group, but no one is more precious than the group itself. Everybody in this room is precious to RBCA, but nobody is more precious than RBCA itself. I learned that many years ago as a young chief steward and business agent, and I was just full of, fire and brimstone, and I wanted to save the world. And then one day, the guy said to me, he said, this is the international president told me, he says, listen, Tyrone, we'll sacrifice the one to save the many. It's important that you always realize that as precious as the individual may be, no one is more precious than the group itself. That whole belief system is what has driven this organization, I believe, to where you are now. If you were coming, because I had some periods when they seized my local and took away everything and I wasn't getting paid. And I'm a Leo only child. I'm used to getting paid. Hey, I'm in it to win it all the time. So, you have to know who you are. And knowing who you are requires some internal work so that it's shown on the outside. Now because I'm going to get through this, John told me no time because I'm ready to eat too because I ain't have no breakfast. This is usually about the time I eat because I don't get up till 11:30, 12 o'clock. And by 1:30, so I'll be eating. The normalization of deviance, a high-tech terminology that we as taxpayers in America, we spent about $8 million for Dr. Vaughn to come up with this title. The normalization of deviance. You can Google it, but when you apply it to business, it means something totally different than when we first come up with the terminology. And as a young guy, I was involved in the study. I was way down on the list just reading all the transcripts and all that. This is what came from the Challenger disaster. Everybody remember when the spaceship blew up? Well, this is where this terminology came from. After the spaceship blew up, just like what happens with corporations, they come up with something, they figure out, well, how did they go broke? Where did they mess up at? Normalization of deviance is a term used by the American sociologist Diane Vaughn to describe the process in which deviance from correct or proper behavior becomes normalized in a corporate culture. Each of you has a position that the corporation relies on for you to fulfill in order for the corporation to reach its goals. And any one of you that deviates away from the process that's necessary for the corporation to continue to prosper and grow, then indulges in the normalization of deviance. Now let's go back to the Challenger. When that thing blew up, they had already knew what was wrong with it. When it went up the first time and it malfunctioned and the computer seen it, all them people with all them degrees on the wall, more than a thermostat, seen it malfunction. And they looked at it like, wow, did you see that? But it made the trip up and it came back. With that function still malfunctioning, they did nothing to correct it. They sent it back up again, Carl, with the same malfunctioning part. The computer seeing it, all those scientists saw it, they sent it back up, it made another trip back. But that last time, it blew up on the launch pad. And so the same thing happens in corporations, where we see a malfunction, but we don't do anything about it because we still function with the malfunction. In the field we talk about, we would call that a character defect. And as human beings, we all have character defects. We all have some flaws about our character. We're not perfect. We created in his image and likeness, but it never said in that book, John, that we were perfect. We were never created perfectly. So we're going through the human experiences to get the spiritual understanding, but we also have to grasp the part that we still not perfect. So the normalization of deviance is just like the Challenger. We've seen the malfunction, we've seen the flaw, but we didn't do anything to correct it. And corporations can't afford that. RBCA cannot afford to see the malfunction, do nothing to correct it, and then wait for the catastrophic event. Does everybody agree with me? Everybody with me? We don't need a catastrophic event to get our attention. What we want to do is practice the triple A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. But that's a whole nother session. So it defines as a process where a clearly unsafe practice comes to be considered normal. So if you're responsible for a particular function in the organization and you short circuit that function by doing something outside of what's considered to be proper and correct, but you get by with doing it, it becomes normal because you got by with doing it. I don't want to start no trouble, John, but I told you. I don't want to start no trouble, but since I've been in the grips of a continuing and progressive illness, once I do it and get away with it, and it was easy to do, I'm going to try it again, Lise. Because we'll pull a stunt. That's who we are as human beings. Human beings are prone to certain behaviors. We want easier, softer, and quick. Easier, softer, and quick. But they take you to normalizing easier, softer, and quick when it's really the hard work that draws the greatest benefits. Y'all eating, I hear them plates hitting, I'm finna stop this. But I gotta finish this little piece out, because when I come back, probably in about 90 days, we're gonna do some stuff about are you who you say you are. Has anyone ever done an enneagram before? Anybody know what I'm talking about, an enneagram? Oh, wonderful. Well, say that I know some of y'all got the edge already on the rest of the people. So, an enneagram. An enneagram will answer the question, are you who you say you are? Do you know what your internal drivers are? Do you know who's driving your bus? You might have a drunk at the wheel. Driving you around. But since they've been driving you for so long and they haven't crashed yet, you continue to let them drive. Everybody know we always hang out and we got somebody to designate a driver. Well, what about when the designated driver gets drunk? So you could been having a designated driver that's been drunk all along, even in the organization. That's why it's important to stay aware. Awareness is very important. And on a team, I come out of organized labor, so the awareness was always there. If something was deviating away from was the normal practice of what we did, we corrected it immediately. We brought it to your attention because we couldn't afford to live in the deviance. So, since there was no immediate catastrophe from the Challenger going up them first 2 times, nobody corrected. You know what it was an O-ring. The thing didn't cost $100. Blew up the whole thing, killed the people, everything. That happens in organizations. That happens in organizations when the defective action wasn't even worth it. You know, you missed a T, or don't dot an I in a contract, or don't say somebody complained and address it, then you're waiting for the catastrophic event. Be each other's eyes and ears. If you really love the organization, it reflects in what you do, not what you say. John believes in me because he believes in what I do, not what I say. You can see me do what I say. So the long incubation period is once you get comfortable in deviating away from what's considered to be proper and right, it becomes the incubation period. And then you don't say nothing even though you've seen it. That's aiding and abetting in the criminal justice system. That's aiding and abetting. I live in Crook County in Chicago. So we always know what aiding and abetting look like. But the disaster is what we don't want to have in RBCA. We can address issues as they arise. You don't allow them to fester and grow. Because human nature believes in the cover-up. One of the greatest challenges most of us face as human beings that we never want to have happen to us, we don't want to be embarrassed. Embarrassment will make you cut off your nose and spite your face. And it sounds like it's a silly little word, but you just think the last time you thought you were going to be embarrassed, what you went through to cover it up. That's what corporations get in trouble, with the cover-up. Because then that draws everybody in. You knew and didn't say nothing. You knew and didn't say nothing. And then later on, when you gather together as a group and you're looking around the table and somebody said, "You knew? You didn't say nothing?" Oh, wow. So to close this out, are you who you say you are? Well, then who are you? Now, before you answer the who, I would strongly encourage that you do an enneagram and find out who's driving your bus. You might not be who you think you are. You may have been pretending to be somebody that you don't really want to be. Well, if you're who you say you are, what you doing? I mean, in the corporation, what makes you valuable to RBCA? What makes you valuable? And if you can't describe, and this the people I worked for when I was working, you had to describe what made you valuable. It's like being in the mob. What's your value here? Are you a good earner? What are you doing? And then even more so, why should we even continue to indulge when you know your defect has taken over and starting to harm us? Why? And then how are we going to justify maintaining your connection to the organization, and we already see that your character defects are causing more harm than good for the organization? Now, I ain't no headhunter, none. I ain't come in trying to get nobody fired. I want everybody to keep working because people who pay taxes pay my salary. I like it. I want all y'all to keep working because I'm retired. And people who work take care of retirees. Don't nobody think about quitting their job tomorrow. But we want to figure out how we can make this a great organization. Good is like this food we eat. It's good. But greatness is your birthright. I think this should be a great organization, not just good. John said earlier, why are we going to settle for what God has already made great? We're going to settle for good. This is some good food. This is a good day, but I want to have some great days. And I'd like to be a part. I told John, give me one of them buttons so I can feel a part of. I was walking around there feeling like I was the oddball. Everybody had a button but me. You know I'm real sensitive. I ain't got but two feelings. He was messing with both of them. So again, thank you for your time. We're going to talk about some things probably in the next 90 days about who's driving your bus, what's your personality look like. And this is secret stuff. You can keep it to yourself, but you ought to know. Wouldn't you like to know yourself? Who wants to stay around here and not know who they are to themselves? You know how you look in the mirror and the person look back at you and they shake their head? Hold on to this. Read it again. I mean, it's just I'm just here to offer inspiration, not condemnation, just inspiration and admiration. I believe that people who are inspired rise to greatness. Thank you.